You ever notice how life never warns you before it blindsides you? It doesn't send a memo, doesn't knock politely. Nah, it kicks down the door while you're making coffee. For me, it started with a chair. That old armchair in the corner of the living room had a signature creak. One of those sounds you could pick out even during a thunderstorm. And it only creaked when someone sat in it. Trouble was, I was home alone. Or supposed to be. I froze mid-sip of my coffee. The sound came again. Slow. Settling. Creak. I set my mug down, slowly, like a man trying not to spook a wild animal. The house was silent, aside from the gentle hum of the fridge and the taunting creak of that damn chair. Emily, I called out, even though I knew she wasn't supposed to be home. She was at a conference 2 states over, some product launch for her company's new high-tech medical whatever. Supposed to be gone till Sunday. No answer. Just that chair. I crossed the room like I was approaching a sleeping bear. I knew every inch of our home. The creaky step by the kitchen, the window that whistled when the wind blew just right. This place had our memories baked into the walls. But something felt foreign. I rounded the corner, and there it was, empty. The chair was still rocking. I stared at it for a beat too long, letting my breath out in a slow stream. Weird air pressure maybe? A gust from the vent? Rational explanations danced around in my head like kids trying to dodge blame. But deep down, something inside me had already woken up. Now, I'm not the superstitious type. I'm a logical guy. Spreadsheet brain, calibrated to facts and numbers. But that morning, I felt it in my gut. The math in my marriage wasn't adding up anymore. The dog, Cooper, had been skittish all week, barking at shadows, growling at empty hallways. I thought maybe it was a storm rolling in, or he was just getting old. But that creaking chair, it was different. Like the house itself was trying to speak. And what it whispered, something's wrong. Later that afternoon, I found a half-empty glass of wine in the guest room. Strange, since Emily never drank in that room. She barely liked going in there, called it haunted Airbnb energy. The bed wasn't made properly either. The comforter looked fluffed, but the pillows were pressed in like someone had used them. Recently, I stared at that wine glass like it owed me an answer. That's the thing about suspicion, it doesn't show up with a siren. It tiptoes in with a whisper and waits for you to notice. I didn't go looking for proof that day. I didn't open her laptop. Didn't scroll through texts. Didn't call her office to double-check anything. I just stood there, staring at that glass, and I knew. Something was coming. And I'd better be ready when it did. 2 days later, Emily came back from her conference. Rolling suitcase. Fresh blowout. That I've been networking kind of glow. I greeted her at the door with a kiss on the cheek. She smiled. But not the way she used to. This one had teeth. She dropped her bags and slipped past me like I was just another piece of furniture. I watched her walk into the kitchen, clocked the subtle shift in her voice, her rhythm. She moved like she had something to hide, but wasn't quite hiding it well enough. How was the launch? I asked casual. She opened the fridge. Long boring. You'd have hated it. I probably would have, I said, leaning against the counter. But you love that stuff. She shrugged. Not this time. No photos. No stories. Not even a passing mention of coworkers. Normally, she'd be ranting about the poor catering or the guy who asked a dumb question at the keynote. I glanced at her suitcase. Still zipped. Emily always unpacked the second she got home. Said it made her feel reset. This time, it sat untouched for 3 days. By Friday, we were eating takeout on the couch, watching a show we didn't care about, pretending like everything was fine. She scrolled through her phone while I pushed a piece of lo mein around my plate. Who's Ethan? I asked, without looking up. Her thumb froze mid-scroll. What? Ethan? I said again. You said his name in your sleep last night. I didn't actually hear her say anything in her sleep. I made that part up. But the way she blinked, just once, told me everything I needed to know. Oh, she said too quickly. He's in sales. From the Charlotte branch. We met at the conference. Close team. She gave a small, manufactured laugh. Not really. He's kind of a loudmouth. Loudmouth, huh? That why he's in your dreams? She went quiet. And that silence? It was louder than any scream. She changed the subject after that. Something about her mom's birthday dinner coming up. I nodded along, but I wasn't listening. My mind was already working, mapping the inconsistencies, tallying the lies. That weekend, she left for a girls' brunch. Wore a dress I hadn't seen in months and sprayed on perfume like she was trying to convince someone she was still 25. I waited 20 minutes. Then I checked the browser history on her laptop. Private tab. Recently closed window. Nice try, M. But here's the thing about trust. It's like a mirror. You can shatter it in seconds. And no matter how hard you try, the cracks never really go away. I didn't need confirmation, but I wanted it. And I knew I wouldn't have to wait long. Tuesday night. Windy. Quiet. One of those nights where the whole world seems to pause so it can listen in on your thoughts. I was cleaning out the car. Not for any real reason. Just one of those mindless tasks a man does when he's trying not to think too hard. That's when I found it. A folded receipt wedged between the seat and the console. Not mine. Not from any gas station I go to. And not from any place she'd need to be on her work trip. The Willow Hotel. Room 304. 2 nights. The date? The same weekend she was supposed to be in Raleigh for her conference. I stared at it for a long time. The ink slightly faded, but the betrayal printed in high definition. She had signed for it, Emily Carter, in that same swirling signature she practiced in high school when she wanted to look more mature. I didn't get mad. I got still. There's a kind of peace in confirmation. Like watching the ship sink after hours of clinging to the hope it was just listing. I went inside, poured a drink, sat at the kitchen table, and waited for her to come home. She walked in around 9:15. Smelled like wine and a different kind of honesty. Hey, she said, pulling off her heels. Long day. I nodded. You forget to grab your receipt from the Willow? She froze. Didn't blink. Didn't breathe. Just froze. What? The Willow Hotel, I repeated. Room 304. You were there last weekend, right? She didn't deny it. Didn't even reach for a lie. Just stood there, caught between fight or flight. She started, but I raised a hand. Don't, I said quietly. Let's not play the game where you lie and I pretend to believe you. We're past that now. The silence was thick. Heavy. The kind of silence that doesn't leave room for forgiveness. Finally, she sat down across from me. Eyes red. Not from crying. From panic. It wasn't supposed to be like this, she said. I actually laughed. A low, tired thing that sounded like it had been stuck in my chest for years. Oh, that's good. That's real good. So what was it supposed to be like, Em? She didn't answer. Just looked down at her hands like they were strangers. His name's Ethan, I said. Sales guy. Charlotte branch. Loudmouth, I'm told. Her head snapped up. How did you? I shrugged. Doesn't matter. There's something surreal about watching the person you love morph into someone you don't even recognize. Like seeing a stranger in your favorite sweater. I wanted to tell you, she said. I was going to. Spare me, I said. Calm. Flat. I wasn't interested in the movie version. I wanted the director's cut. The raw footage. The ugly truth. I just felt lost, she whispered. No, I said. You felt bored. She winced. Because I was right. You had comfort. Loyalty. Safety. But that wasn't exciting enough. So you went looking for fireworks. She reached across the table, but I didn't move. Logan. That's not my name to you anymore. Her mouth opened. Closed. She stood, slowly, unsure of her next move. Don't worry, I said, standing up too. I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to cry. But you should know something. What? This is the part where you think it's over. But it's not. Her eyes narrowed. What does that mean? I smiled. Not wide. Not kind. It means you just handed the steering wheel to the wrong man. And I walked out. Because when a man's heart is broken quietly, completely, that's when he's most dangerous. There's a strange peace in knowing the person you trusted most is the one who betrayed you. You stop asking why. You stop rehearsing fake arguments in the shower. You stop rewinding the past looking for where the cracks started. Instead, you start building. That's what I did. While Emily tried to figure out if she could still lie her way out of the mess she'd made, I started planning my exit. Quietly. Efficiently. Like a man preparing to evacuate a burning building before anyone smells smoke. First thing I did? I made backups. Email, phone records, receipts. I learned that Ethan had been around longer than I thought. Months, maybe longer. He was in her calendar under code names, strategy lunch, vendor review, personal development meeting. The woman was practically running an infidelity internship. I took screenshots, forwarded them to a secure folder. Not because I wanted revenge yet. Not exactly. But because I was done being the guy who didn't know. I wanted the whole map before I made my move. Next. Finances. Joint accounts. Credit cards. The mortgage. I spent 2 evenings doing what Emily probably never thought I'd do, read the fine print. Turns out, while she was playing house with Ethan in room 304, I was the only one paying the bills on our actual home. That gave me leverage. More than I expected. So I called a lawyer. Quiet office, no small talk, just business. Her name was Madison Lane, sharp as a scalpel and twice as cold. Divorce? She asked, tapping on her keyboard without looking at me. Eventually, I said. But first, I want to put the pieces on the board. She raised an eyebrow. You want a strategy, not just a settlement. I want a story, I said. And I want to make sure mine ends better than hers. She leaned back, folded her arms. Tell me everything. And I did. No drama, no sobs. Just the facts. The receipt. The timing. The names. She nodded the whole time like she was mentally building a case file for a trial that hadn't started yet. You've got leverage, she said at the end. She thinks she's holding the grenade, but you're the one with the pin. Exactly. I went home that night and acted like nothing had changed. Because for her, it hadn't. Emily was still playing two characters, the professional wife with Instagram-worthy brunches, and the thrill-seeker with hotel room keycards and backup perfume. Funny how betrayal makes you see things more clearly. Every glance she gave me was now graded. Every comment, every touch, filed and labeled. I became a human lie detector, fluent in guilt and deflection. Like on Thursday night, when she came home late again. Ethan's wife is pregnant, she said casually as she kicked off her heels. I blinked. What? She froze. Slipped. I mean, his ex-wife. He told me she's pregnant. I don't know why he brought it up. Sure you don't, Em. Sure you don't. But I didn't press her. Not anymore. I just nodded and let her twist in the silence. That's the thing about liars. They hate when you don't react. They crave an audience. Meanwhile, I was making moves behind the curtain. I changed the passwords on my personal accounts. Opened a new checking account in a bank Emily had never set foot in. Started paying my direct deposits into it. Slowly, methodically, I untangled myself from the life we built like a man untying a noose. And I smiled through all of it. Because the best revenge? It's not a punch or a scream or a scene in a hotel lobby. It's watching someone realize, too late, that you saw them clearly all along. One morning, Emily walked into the kitchen holding a mug that said "Love Wins." She wore it like a joke now. She looked at me over the rim of her cup. You're being quiet lately. Just focused, I said. Work's intense right now. She nodded. Well, you're doing great. I can tell. Liar. She couldn't tell anything anymore. But I let her sit with that lie, comfortable in her illusion. Because I wasn't going to break the glass until I was ready to watch it shatter in the most elegant way possible. One night, just after dinner, right as she was loading the dishwasher, I asked, You ever think about what it means to be cruel? She paused, glanced over her shoulder. Excuse me. Cruel, I repeated. I think people imagine violence. Screaming. Chaos. But that's not what cruelty really is it? She stared at me. No, I continued. Cruelty is quiet. Cruelty is surgical. It's when someone knows exactly what you care about and takes it away piece by piece. So slowly, you don't even realize you're bleeding. She turned off the water. What's going on with you? She asked, trying to sound concerned. I smiled. The kind of smile that doesn't reach your eyes. Just thinking. And I was. Thinking about the letter I had drafted. Thinking about the scheduled meeting with Ethan's boss. Thinking about the anonymous email I'd queued with the hotel security footage from their last conference. And thinking, she has no idea what's coming. I've always believed revenge isn't about punishment. It's about clarity. Not proving her wrong, proving myself right. That I saw the cracks. That I heard the creak in the chair. That I trusted my gut before it grew dull and useless from denial. The night after our dishwasher talk, I went to the attic. Dragged down a box Emily had labeled, holiday stuff, do not trash. Inside? An old backup phone I'd kept from my last job, company issued, wiped clean but still functional. Perfect burner material. I powered it up, installed a secure messaging app, and created a new email address. Something plain. Something she'd never trace. Then, I wrote a little love letter to Ethan's boss. Subject, a member of your sales team is compromising your company. Attached is video footage of one of your senior reps, Ethan M. Rhodes, at the Willow Hotel in Charlotte, during a medical equipment conference hosted by your firm. This footage shows him engaging in an inappropriate relationship with a client's wife. If this is standard behavior for your sales team, consider this a courtesy. Signed, a concerned observer. I attached the grainy hotel lobby footage I'd pulled from a private service, a few bucks, one favor called in from an old client who owed me a lot more than that. Click. Sent. The next morning, Emily got a text over breakfast. Her phone lit up, and her hand went straight to it like a reflex, like she'd been waiting for something. Her face twitched. Not much, just a slight shift in her jaw. But I saw it. Everything okay? I asked. Yeah, she said quickly. Just Ethan. Some chaos at work. I sipped my coffee. Sales chaos? She looked up at me for a beat too long. Yeah, gotcha. She left the house in a hurry that day, dressed like she was headed to a business lunch, but wearing those earrings she only pulled out when she wanted attention. The gold hoops. Her notice me hoops. I watched from the window as she pulled out of the driveway, then pulled out my notepad. Yes, an actual notebook. Spiral bound. A gift from her, ironically. I started keeping track of movements, calls, departure times, outfit choices, behavior shifts. Because here's what they never tell you in the self-help books. If you're going to dismantle a liar, do it like a scientist. Day by day, I chipped away at the mystery she thought she'd hidden so well. But it wasn't a mystery anymore. It was a blueprint, and I was nearly done reading it. Later that week, I sent another anonymous message, this time to Ethan's wife. Hi, Sarah. You don't know me, but I think your husband's been lying to both of us. If you'd like answers, real ones, check the attached timestamped footage. They've been meeting behind your back for over 6 months. I'm not asking for anything, just giving you what you deserve. L. No threats. No gory details. Just the truth, gift-wrapped in plain text. Now, I didn't expect her to respond, but less than an hour later, I got a ping to the inbox. From Sarah M. I knew. I didn't want to believe it, but I knew. Thank you for confirming. You're not alone. S. Not alone. That hit harder than I thought it would. Because I wasn't. I'd been treated like I was crazy for months, gaslit, brushed off, told I was overthinking. But now I had a witness. A co-survivor. Another person who saw what I saw and didn't pretend it was just a phase. 2 days later, Emily came home early. Unannounced. Logan, she said the second she walked in. We need to talk. Now that's a phrase you never want to hear from a woman who spent the past few months cheating on you. I looked up from the couch, clicked the TV off. Sure. What's up? She stood awkwardly in the living room, clutching her bag like it had something to say too. Ethan's having a hard time at work. Someone's been sending things. Footage. Emails. I feigned a frown. That's awful. Think someone's out to get him. She hesitated. Maybe. It's just odd timing. Very odd, I agreed. Could be a competitor trying to sabotage him. Happens in sales all the time, right? She nodded slowly, but she wasn't buying it. You sure you don't know anything about it? She asked. I smiled. Would I lie to you? Her eyes twitched. Just for a second. Then she turned and walked away, like a woman trying to outrun her own shadow. That night, I opened the manila envelope I'd been saving. Inside, a copy of the deed, bank statements, and the printed itinerary for the conference Emily had supposedly attended. She wasn't on it. Never had been. Funny thing about betrayal, it sharpens your instincts and dulls your mercy. I placed the envelope in her dresser drawer, just beneath the earrings. No note. No confrontation. Just a message wrapped in paper. I see you now. There's a moment in every chess game when the losing player realizes it's not about the next move. It's about the last 10 they didn't see coming. That's where Emily was now. She'd started to notice things. The way I wasn't angry anymore. The way I wasn't chasing. She'd try to bait me into little arguments, pick at my quiet, test the temperature of the room. You don't talk anymore, she said one night, leaning against the doorway in her robe. I talk when there's something worth saying, I replied. She looked at me for a long time. I think she wanted a fight. Maybe even a breakdown. Some proof that I was still under her spell. But I wasn't. I'd broken out. And she could feel it. The next morning, I was in the garage reorganizing my tools. My old friend Marcus showed up, big guy, beard like a lumberjack, heart like a steel trap. He'd known me since we were dumb kids racing bikes through traffic and pretending we knew what love meant. I handed him a coffee as he stepped over a box labeled garage sale, maybe. You serious about this? He asked. Every bit of it. He sipped, nodded. You want help moving some things out? I got a trailer. And space at my shop if you need to stash stuff. I don't want to move out, I said. I want her to ask me to. Marcus raised an eyebrow. You're that far ahead? I smiled. She's already starting to think she's the one being left. See, Emily wasn't used to being ignored. She knew how to manage conflict, how to cry just enough to earn sympathy, how to pivot the narrative with a wounded sigh. But apathy? A man becoming indifferent? That wasn't in her toolbox. Later that week, she invited me to dinner. She cooked rosemary chicken, sautéed vegetables, a salad arranged like she learned it from a Food Network segment. She even lit candles. Thought it'd be nice, she said with a tight smile. Like old times. Sure, I said, sitting across from her. Smells great. We ate in silence for a bit. She waited for me to talk. I didn't. Finally, she cleared her throat. I've been thinking, she said. About us. About everything. Yeah, I think maybe we've both made mistakes. I nearly laughed. Both? Cute. Like what? I asked. Well, I should have been more honest. And you've been really distant lately. I've been distant, I repeated slowly. After you cheated. I never said I. She stopped, caught herself, exhaled. Fine. Yes. I messed up. She said it like she had burned the toast. Not like she'd burned the foundation of our marriage. I just felt disconnected, she continued. Like you didn't see me anymore. Like I was invisible. Funny. That's exactly how I'd felt for the last 2 years. But I let her talk. Let her ramble on about stress and identity and needing to feel alive. Every word she spoke, I matched with silence. Not passive silence. Deliberate silence. Because I wanted her to hear her own voice echo in the absence of mine. After dinner, she sat beside me on the couch, wine glass in hand, trying to close the gap she'd created. Do you think we could fix it? She asked. I turned to her, slow, calm. No. Just that. Not cruel. Not cold. Final. She blinked. You're just done. I was done the night you made me dinner like it would undo room 304. And I walked out of the room. She didn't follow. That night, I slept in the guest room. The one we used to call her yoga room, though I'd never seen her stretch in there once. I laid on the twin bed, stared at the ceiling fan, and felt more peace than I had in months. In the morning, the note I left on the counter was simple. Emily, I've removed myself from our joint accounts. I've consulted an attorney. I suggest you do the same. L. No signature flourish. No guilt. Just instructions. Because I wasn't playing her game anymore, I was running my own. She didn't text. She didn't call. She came home late, didn't speak a word, marched up the stairs like she'd just lost a job interview. Maybe she had. 2 days later, I got a message from Sarah again, Ethan's wife. Update. He was suspended. Companies reviewing behavior violations. He tried to spin it like someone sabotaging him. I just laughed. Thanks again. I owe you one. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Her closure was my confirmation. On Sunday, Emily found me in the backyard, planting. You're gardening now? She asked like I was performing stand-up comedy. Why not? I said. This place'll be mine soon. Her jaw twitched. Excuse me. I looked over the deed, I said, brushing dirt off my gloves. You signed off on this house 5 years ago during the refinance. I've been the sole owner ever since. You, what? I bought you out without you even noticing. You were so busy planning girls' trips and wine tastings, you didn't read the fine print. She took a step back. For the first time in a long time, she looked small. Not because I was towering over her, but because she finally realized she couldn't win this one. You set me up, she whispered. No, I said, standing. You set yourself up. I just paid attention. And then I walked past her, into the house she no longer owned, toward the life she was no longer part of. After the backyard reveal, Emily didn't slam doors. She didn't scream or sob into a pillow. She did something worse. She went quiet. The kind of quiet that feels like a storm cell hovering overhead, waiting to unload. She stopped trying to win me back. Stopped trying to reframe things. I think she finally realized the difference between me being calm and me being done. But it didn't stop her from trying one more trick. 3 days later, she invited her mother over. I heard them whispering in the kitchen. Low voices. Strategic tones. Her mother had always been a puppeteer dressed in pearls. And Emily? Her star pupil. He's not himself, her mother said, loud enough for me to hear from the hallway. This is a phase. He'll cool down. Emily nodded. He's been distant. Cruel, even. I stepped into the room. Cruel is handing your husband a lie and asking him to smile while he swallows it. They both jumped. I poured myself some coffee without breaking eye contact. Her mother straightened up, voice clipped. You need to work this out. Marriage is about forgiveness. Maybe. But betrayal is about choice, I said. And I've made mine. Then I sipped my coffee. Let the silence wrap around them. And walked out. Emily moved out 2 weeks later. No grand farewell. No curtain call. Just a half-hearted note and the keys on the counter. She didn't take much: clothes, toiletries, the blender she insisted we couldn't live without, and used twice. Her absence didn't echo the way I thought it would. The house felt relieved. And I kept moving. Had the locks changed. Updated security. Even swapped out the old family photos, not out of anger, but to make space for the next chapter. One I could write without revision. Then, one morning, a letter arrived. No return address. Inside was a single line, typed, "You played me. But this isn't over." I chuckled. Not a laugh, more like a sigh wearing a smirk. Because she still thought this was a game. She still thought I was playing. She didn't realize I'd already won. Not because I hurt her, but because I no longer cared if she healed. 3 months passed. The divorce finalized quickly. The house was mine. The accounts had been separated. My credit untouched. I donated the bed we once shared. Bought a new one, not because it was necessary, but because I didn't want to sleep in the ghost of a lie. Friends started asking questions. "So what happened, man?" I gave them the short version. She tried to test me. I passed. She didn't. They'd nod. Some shook their heads. Others laughed awkwardly, unsure if I was serious. I was. Dead serious. One night, Marcus and I had a beer on the porch. "You ever regret not hitting back harder?" he asked. "Nope," I said. "She doesn't get to shape who I become. She only gets to be the lesson." And that's exactly what she became, a well-indexed, fully footnoted cautionary tale. 6 months to the day after Emily left, I saw her again. Grocery store. Aisle 9. She was pushing a cart with maybe 6 things in it, all arranged like she wanted someone to see them. Like she'd practiced this scene in her head. She spotted me, hesitated, then smiled. "Logan," she said, soft, like we were still playing husband and wife in a kitchen full of burned eggs and stolen time. "Emily, you look good." I did. Because peace is skincare. And peace was finally mine. "Have you been?" she asked, clutching a box of pasta like it was the last thread holding her together. "I've been honest," I said. She flinched. Smiled again. It cracked. "I've been meaning to call. There were things I never got to eat." "It's okay," I said, cutting her off with a kindness so sharp it might have drawn blood. "You don't owe me anything. And I don't owe you anything either." And that was it. I walked away. No dramatics. No slow-motion ending. Just a man walking forward. While behind him, a woman finally realized that some doors don't slam shut. They just vanish.